You're listening to Monumental Movement.
And today, we are going on a journey that might just change the way you hear reality.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've covered some pretty wild topics before: cultural shifts, technological breakthroughs, hidden histories. But today
feels different.
it really does. We are looking at a musical project that, well, it defies the usual band label. We're talking about Shpongle.
And I think before you assume this is just about a couple of DJs at a festival, you have to understand how the sources we have frame this.
Which is how?
They call it a sound enlightenment project.
Yeah.
The absolute pinnacle of spiritual electronic music.
That's a huge claim. But when you look at the material, you see it's not just music for entertainment.
No, not at all. It's a deliberate, I'd almost say architectural attempt to engineer a spiritual experience just using sound waves. It's audio alchemy.
Audio alchemy, I like that.
Yeah.
And the origin story, it certainly backs up that kind of mysticism. It reads like the opening scene of an adventure movie.
Right.
So we're in India. It's 1996, and a total solar eclipse is happening.
The diamond ring effect in the sky. It sets quite a stage. And under this eclipse, you have these two very different figures colliding. It's the classic meeting of opposites.
Okay, so who are the players?
On one side, you've got Simon Posford. In the electronic world, he's basically a legend, the sound magician. At this point in the 90s, he's already famous for a project called Hallucinogen.
Which was very technical, right? High energy stuff.
Incredibly. Frenetic trance music.
Yeah.
He's the guy obsessed with the machinery, the synths, the code.
The wizard.
The wizard, right. And on the other side,
You have Raja Ram, and this guy is a completely different archetype. He's the sage.
from the band Quintessence,
Oh.
way back in the late 60s.
Exactly. An accomplished flautist, steeped in Eastern philosophy, and decades older than Simon. So you literally have the wizard and the sage meeting under an eclipse in India.
It sounds a little too perfect. It does, doesn't it? Like fantasy fiction. But the collaboration that came out of it was very tangible. And the sources all emphasized their mission wasn't just to jam or, make a hit record.
They wanted to create an audio journey.
That's the term, yeah. The idea was to fuse ethnic sampling, real, organic sounds from all over the world with Raja's acoustic flute, and then process it all through Simon's high-end studio production.
So it's not just world music and it's not just techno.
No, it's a true hybrid. Their goal was to transcend time and space, to create a sound that felt like a story, but without words, and to understand why. Well, that gets into the philosophy.
It's always a philosophy.
And this one keeps circling back to a specific Sanskrit phrase, Nada Brahma.
Nada Brahma. Okay, let's unpack that. It sounds ancient.
It is. It's a core Hindu concept. It roughly translates to the universe is sound and sound is God.
So the idea that the cosmos isn't really made of solid matter, but of vibration.
Exactly. Everything is vibrating frequency. And if everything is
Right,
vibrating...
everything is music.
Precisely. And this is where Raja Ram's influence is so clear. Since his days in the 60s, he's been trying to bridge that gap between Hindu philosophy and Western music. For him, sound is a form of prayer. He sees Shpongle tracks as modern mantras.
Not just songs.
No, they're repetitive, vibrating structures designed to alter consciousness.
It really elevates the stakes. There's a quote from Simon Posford in the notes that I think just captures this perfectly. He says, "Shpongle is the experience of enlightenment through hearing."
That's incredibly bold for a music producer.
Right. Usually you just want people to dance, maybe buy a t-shirt.
But it fits perfectly with the culture they were building.
Uh-huh.
You have to look at the label, Twisted Records, which they founded in 1996. The sources describe it as the holy land of intelligence for UK psychedelic culture.
The holy land of intelligence. That implies they were pushing back against something less intelligent.
Well, think about the 90s rave scene. It was often dismissed as, just hedonistic, drug-fueled fantasy.
Right, just partying.
Twisted Records tried to pivot that. They wanted to shift the focus from just getting high to a more scientific and philosophical exploration of sound. They were treating music as a technology for consciousness.
So less about escaping reality and more about analyzing it.
Or maybe even rebuilding it. And Shpongle became the flagship for that. You can even see this rebuilding process in how their albums are structured.
How so?
Well, when I was going through the discography, it didn't look like a random collection of albums. It looked like a map.
A map of what?
A cycle of reincarnation. The source material suggests you can view their main body of work from 1998 to 2017 as a single continuous narrative.
A 20-year story arc. Okay, walk us through that.
So it starts with the debut in 98, Are You Shpongle? That's the departure point. Birth.
It sets the template. the mix of the organic and the digital.
Right. It was unlike anything else at the time. Then you move forward maybe to 2005 with the album Nothing Lasts, but Nothing is Lost.
Which is a beautiful title, by the way. Very melancholic.
It is. And philosophically, that album represents impermanence and regeneration. It's grappling with the idea that things change, forms decay, but the essence, the energy, remains.
The life phase of the cycle.
Exactly. Complex, chaotic, beautiful. And then finally we get to 2017 with Codex 6. And the source did describe this one as the completion of the cycle.
Birth, life, completion. But it's not just the album titles, is it? The notes get really granular about specific tracks.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The analysis argues that the structure of the songs themselves mirrors Hindu cosmology.
Okay, give me an example. Because Hindu cosmology is a lot to pack into one song.
Take Divine Moments of Truth. It's their most famous piece. The analysis links this to Brahman or creation. And if you listen to it, the rhythms are constantly spiraling, building layer on top of layer.
I know that track. Spiraling is the perfect word. It's like a fractal.
Yes. It sounds like a universe being born. Chaotic, but mathematically perfect. It just keeps expanding. Then you contrast that with a track like Nothing is Something Worth Doing.
Yeah.
This one corresponds to Maya, or illusion. The rhythm does these false starts. It collapses, it rebuilds, it tricks your ear. It's sonically representing how stability is an illusion.
And is there a resolution? Does the story have an ending?
It does, in tracks like Ineffable Mysteries. This represents moksha, or liberation. And what's fascinating is how they represent it.
How?
Through the disappearance of sound. The track plays with silence, with these vast, empty reverb tails. It suggests the ultimate realization is beyond all the noise.
That's incredible. It's like theology taught through sound engineering. But I want to pivot to the how. We're calling Simon Posford a sound alchemist. What is he actually doing in the studio?
This is where that whole holy land of intelligence idea really kicks in. He isn't just throwing sounds together and seeing what sticks. He's intentionally designing the music to resonate with human physiology.
Okay.
The sources break it down into 3 distinct psychoacoustic layers.
Layer 1?
The low frequencies,
Yeah.
your bass, your kick drum. This corresponds to the body.
The physical anchor.
Exactly. It's designed for grounding. The tempo, the frequency, it's all meant to synchronize your heart rate and your breathing. When you hear it on a big system, it physically moves you.
Which makes sense. You feel the bass in your chest is visceral. It tells your body, we are here now.
Precisely. Then layer 2 is the harmonics, melodies, synths, the flute. This layer corresponds to consciousness.
So the mind.
Right. And the theory mentioned in the source is that these specific, complex, interleaving melodies are meant to stimulate the pineal gland.
The third eye.
It's about mental activation, keeping the analytical mind busy. And then layer 3 is reverb and atmosphere.
How is echo spiritual?
Well, it's about simulating space. This corresponds to spirituality. By creating this massive, cavernous soundscape, it encourages ego dissolution. You feel small within a vast sonic space.
Ah, I see. It's the cathedral effect. You walk into a huge cathedral, you hear the echo, and you suddenly feel a sense of awe. He's doing that digitally.
That's a perfect way to put it. So bass is body, harmonics is mind, reverb is spirit. It's a sonic potion. And on top of all that, you have brainwave synchronization.
The music is designed to lock in with theta and alpha brainwaves.
Correct. The brainwaves associated with deep meditation. That twilight state between waking and sleeping. Posford has a great quote about it. He says he's not making sound, he's guiding sound that appears.
He sees himself as more of a conduit.
Yes. It's very interesting because he has other projects. We mentioned hallucinogen, and if you're a listener, it might be confusing. How do you tell the different Posfords apart?
That's a great question. What is the difference?
The sources break it down really clearly. Hallucinogen is described as external hallucinations. It's a chemical trance. It's fast, sharp, metallic, aggressive. It's sensory overload.
The roller coaster.
Right. Then you have his project Younger Brother. That's more internal mental exploration. It's emotional, sometimes lyrical, a bit closer to pop structures. It's about feelings and memories.
So where does Shpongle fit?
Shpongle is the middle path, the fusion of consciousness and the cosmos. It's spiritual, highly structural, and deeply multi-layered. It's not just about emotion or adrenaline. It's about architecture.
Hallucinogen is a rocket ship, but Shpongle is a cathedral made of sound.
I love that. Architecture versus rocket ship. And that architecture extends to the live shows. They aren't just concerts. They're called ceremonies.
The live ritual, and a big part of that is the visual component. They use a massive device called the Shpongletron.
The Shpongle. It sounds like something from a 50s sci-fi movie.
But I'm guessing it's a bit more high-tech.
Just a bit. It's a complex visual mapping structure. It's not a flat screen. It's a physical, multi-layered object they project images onto, so the visuals have a real depth and 3D shape.
And they work with some amazing artists.
Visionary artists like Android Jones, who does this incredible digital painting that looks like it's made of pure light, and of course Alex Gray.
Alex Gray's work is iconic. Even if you don't know the name, you've probably seen it. The anatomical figures showing the energy grids, the cosmos fusing with the body.
He paints the energetic body. So imagine seeing that animated, huge, pulsing in time with the music. It reinforces that whole Nada Brahma idea.
That the body and the sound are one. So what are Simon and Raja actually doing on stage?
They fall right back into their archetypes. Rajaram is the master of ceremonies, the guide. He's dancing, playing the flute, leading the crowd. He's the human element.
And Simon.
Simon Posford is the alchemist. He's behind the banks of equipment, controlling the sonic environment in real time, manipulating effects, triggering samples. He's the wizard in his tower.
It really does sound like a modern-day ritual, but most of us aren't going to be in front of the Shpongletron tonight. The source material, though, it actually gives us a guide on how to do this at home.
Yes, the practical application section on how to Shpongle, and I think this is fascinating because it treats listening as a practice, like yoga or meditation.
You can't just put it on in the background while you're doing the dishes.
No, you have to commit to it.
Okay, so walk me through it. I'm at home. I want the full experience. What do I do?
Step 1. Environment. You need a dark room. Remove all the visual distractions. And just regulate your breathing. Get comfortable.
Set and setting. Crucial. Then what?
Step 2. Play the track. Divine Moments of Truth. We mentioned it earlier, the creation track.
Okay, and step 3.
This is the hard part. The guide says, focus your attention on the exact moment a sound is born. Don't just listen to the melody. Try to hear the very inception of the sound, the attack.
That requires some serious hyper-focus. You're dissecting the sound wave.
You are. It forces you into the present moment. And then, step 4. When the track gets quiet, listen for the inner sound. That resonance inside yourself that lingers when the external sound stops.
And if I do all this right, what's the intended result?
The commentary says the goal is to experience the dissolution of boundaries. It's a psychological trip, but one that is structured by sound engineering. You stop knowing where you end, and the music begins.
You become the vibration.
Essentially, yes. It's not passive listening. It's active participation.
So let's zoom out. What does this all mean? We've got solar eclipses, Hindu philosophy, brainwave tech. Why should someone who isn't necessarily into psychedelic culture care about this?
Well, I think if you connect this to the bigger picture, Shpongle represents an evolution of the very act of listening itself.
How so?
In our world, sound is so often just background noise, filler, distraction, something to drown out the silence. Shpongle challenges us to see sound as a tool.
A tool for what?
For rebuilding consciousness. It suggests that if we listen deeply enough, we can actually alter our state of being. It kind of democratizes the mystical experience through technology. It's a 21st century scripture, born at the intersection of circuits and spirit.
That's a powerful idea. That your headphones could be a gateway if you just change how you pay attention.
It forces you to ask, what am I filling my ears with? Is it sound that numbs me or sound that wakes me up?
That really is the question, and I think that's the perfect place to leave it. But there is one final thought from the band itself I want to share. It's the quote that really defines their philosophy.
Nothing lasts, but nothing is lost. But nothing is lost. Think about that. The sound fades, the moment passes, but the impact on your consciousness, that remains. Thanks for listening to Monumental Movement. We'll see you on the next deep dive.